Hi, this is Mike Licona. I'm in Berkeley, California with Paul Copan, the president of the Evangelical Philosophical Society. And with all this stuff going on with Norm Geisler coming after me, I just thought I'd get his thoughts on this. So, Paul, thanks a lot for your time just for a moment. Give me some general thoughts on what your observations and what you think about this current controversy.
Okay, all right. Well, I first want to say that I and many others have greatly benefited from the work of Norm Geisler, and it is certainly nothing personal. Norm has been kind to me, and even though there may be this disagreement, I want to affirm that many of us in the Evangelical Philosophical Society are indebted to Norm. He has been a hard worker for God's kingdom. We appreciate the apologetical and philosophical input that he's given to many of us, and so I want to first of all affirm that. But I believe that the situation in which Norm Geisler has sought to attack Mike Licona for violating inerrancy, I find this to be a bit odd, and I would encourage people who have not had the chance to actually listen to Mike Licona's presentation at the Evangelical Philosophical Society meeting. Read his paper online, risenjesus.com, and listen, just see for yourselves, evaluate for yourselves as to whether or not this passage in Matthew 27 could not be understood, at least in part, as apocalyptic. I mean, I myself am not in full agreement with Mike, but I can see that throughout in the Gospel of Matthew, in Matthew 24, we have historical passages that are also sprinkled with apocalyptic images of the sun and the moon being darkened. We have in Joel chapter 2, we have mention of literal happenings inspired by the Spirit in fulfillment of the prophecy of Joel, but we also have the sun being darkened and the moon not shining. Again, apocalyptic images not to be taken literally. What we have in the 27th chapter of Matthew, we have a series of events in which we have something very odd apparently going on, where these saints come back to life. The tombs are opened, implying that they are raised from the dead at the crucifixion. That is what most scholars suggest happens, that they are raised from the dead at the crucifixion, but they'll only go into the city after Jesus has been raised from the dead, which also raises an interesting question. Isn't Christ the first fruits of the resurrection of those who have fallen asleep? 1 Corinthians 15:20. But here you have saints being raised before Jesus is raised. Now, this presents a number of interesting theological questions, problems for many people, and I would say, well, I think that is perhaps what we need to do is try to understand what was the author trying to communicate. And I think that Mike Licona has offered a number of suggestions that are plausible in understanding this, if not totally apocalyptic, at least a mixture of apocalypse and history. So even if we might disagree, I see that this is very plausible. And Mike has also addressed, as I said, this issue in the paper, and so I'd encourage you to take a look at that issue. It's also interesting, too, that Mike has been singled out. I just don't understand why it is Mike who's been singled out when we have William Lane Craig, who wrote in my book, in response to a Jesus Seminar scholar, that the apocalyptic interpretation of Matthew 27 makes sense, and probably most conservative scholars would agree with that interpretation. That was Bill Craig. Craig Blomberg takes a similar neutral view on it could go either way. Michael Green, leading evangelical, in his InterVarsity Press book edited by John Stott, who believed in inerrancy, in his Matthew commentary talks about this being entirely apocalyptic. You have mention of this in Leon Morris's commentary in the Pillar series, where edited by D.A. Carson, Mr. Inerrancy himself, and he also is sympathetic with this apocalyptic understanding. So why is it that Mike Licona has been singled out and others have simply been bypassed? I simply don't understand why he has been targeted. So it's a very sad situation, I think, how it's been handled, rather than in a scholarly fashion in which we talk about these things, debate. Mike has actually revised his position, but it's just been a pity how all of this has been handled, how Mike's reputation has been, just such a gracious guy, has been sullied and damaged, and opportunities for ministry and speaking and upholding orthodoxy have been taken away from him because of this situation. So those are a few thoughts that I have on the matter, and want to encourage you to consider these.